All right, it's noon. We're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Maggie Erickson. I'm the Assistant Director of Career Development at the Center for Career and Professional Development at Clemson. I'm also the founder of the Career Innovation Lab, which we'll chat about a little bit later in this presentation. I'm retired from banking back in 2014 and came to work at Clemson because I was passionate about what they were doing in the Career Center to help folks like you get ready for the world of work. And I'm also co-presenting today with one of my interns, Ava.
Hi, my name is Ava Snee. I'm an economics student here, a senior this year, and I am an AI career innovation intern that also specializes in AI research here.
So we're really glad you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about crafting your resume. So, one of the first things that we want to talk about when we're talking about your resume, and actually I got ahead of myself, let's go ahead if you have a moment and can scan the QR code. That gives us a record of your attendance here at the workshop. Whether you're watching it live or watching it later, you can do that. You'll also get a copy of the presentation in the CCPD resources referenced. If you're a part of the Tiger Professional Development Certificate, that'll be posted to Canvas. If you are just joining us for the Zoom and not part of the Professional Development Certificate, you'll get an email with everything in it. So we're really glad you're here. So let's talk about why we're here today. The Michelin Career Center is committed to helping deliver the #1 student experience in the nation, and we do that by getting you ready to be competitive in a rapidly changing job market. Things are changing very, very quickly. And so we want to help you feel well prepared. So, just by way of getting some participation, would you put a comment in the chat, either yes or no, if you have visited the Career Center before or ever had an appointment with a career counselor? So you can put yes or no in the chat and let us know if you have ever visited the Career Center before. Emma, what are we seeing?
Everyone has said yes so far.
Oh, wow, I love it. Also, I'm so sorry, Emma. I should have introduced you as well. Emma is another one of our interns, and she is letting you in and running the chat, and we couldn't do it without her. So, Emma, we're really, really glad you're here too. All right. Well,
Thank you.
everybody's been here before, so you know a little bit about us, but hopefully you're going to learn something new today. All right. So, we use our research and resources to provide you with strategies that are going to help you maximize the success of your job search or grad school application process. And what that means is we are staying on top of the trends through our connections with employers and other colleges and research institutions and associations that do research so that we know what's going on in the world of work and can help you be prepared.
Right, so the CCPD's mission is to empower and engage students in professional development, career development, but also life in general and life after college as well. Career development is a process, and we're here to help you. And then also our commitment to inclusivity. We accept everyone here. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's all. We accept everyone. And everyone deserves to be here at the Career Center. All right, so our workshop goals today are going to be to learn what a resume is and why it matters, learn how to format and write a clean and effective resume, and identify your own transferable skills and experiences to then be able to put into your resume. And then finally, build confidence using AI tools like ChatGPT on a resume.
So, a resume is a formal document that outlines your education, experience, skills, and accomplishments, and it's used to obtain employment or admission to grad school. So, it's really just a basic way to market yourself to potential employers or grad schools. So, one of the ways that we recommend that you start writing a resume or that you revise your resume that's already written is you think about core competencies or transferable skills that Ava talked about in the last slide. And this is actually what brought me out of retirement to come to work at Clemson. Because when I was hiring in banking, I was looking for people with these 9 categories that are listed over here, these 9 skills. And often what I found is students had developed those skills in college, but they didn't know how to articulate them on their resume. And so we want to teach you how to articulate these 9 skills on your resume and when you're answering interview questions, because that will help you be a much more appealing candidate. So let's go over some broad tips for creating a resume. First, you want to brainstorm your experiences considering those core competencies that I just showed you on the last slide. And your experiences do not have to be paid jobs that you've had. It can include paid jobs, but it can also include things like volunteer experience, club leadership experience, anywhere where you've gained some core skills that would be beneficial at work can be added to a resume. It doesn't have to have a W-2 attached to it. We recommend brainstorming that using the worksheet that's available in the resume packet that we will send out in Canvas or email to you if you gave us your email address at the beginning. You can use that worksheet to think about experiences that you've developed and can add those to your resume. We also recommend that you keep a running document of all your experiences in a resume that you never delete anything from. So, this is kind of like you may call it a kitchen sink resume, where you list everything you've ever done in reverse chronological order, because you never know when you might pivot midway through your career and an experience that you had a long time ago is relevant to the new thing that you've pivoted to. And so you don't want to forget about those things and you'll want to be able to pull them up. And then the last thing that we recommend is make sure that you're studying the job description and selecting experiences and skills that relate directly to the position. Another mistake that I often saw students making when I was receiving applications at the bank was that people just sent a basic generic resume in, and I couldn't really see how their skills applied to what they were applying for. And so it's up to you to tailor your resume to make sure that employers can see how you're a great fit for that job. That can feel daunting if you're applying to 30 or 40 jobs, but that's where generative AI like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot can help you tailor a resume. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then remember, this is a marketing brochure about you. However, you have to keep in mind your recipients. And it used to be that the recipients of resumes were a recruiter or a hiring manager or somebody else at an office. And so it was always a human being that was receiving a paper resume, and then it went to a human being receiving an electronic copy of a resume. Now, with the rise of generative AI, an applicant tracking system is usually the first thing that receives a resume. And an applicant tracking system is just some software that includes AI that pre screens resumes against job descriptions. And it looks for a match. So it's looking for keywords and experience from your resume that matches with the job description. And what that means is if your resume isn't tailored, you're not going to score very high in an applicant tracking system. And you're not going to have the opportunity for a recruiter or a hiring manager or somebody else at the organization to get a look at your resume. So it's really, really important to tailor your resume. So, next question, interactive. I want to hear your answers again in the chat. How many of you think you know how long a human being typically does a first scan of a resume? Give it to me in minutes or seconds. How long do you think a person scans a resume for the first time?
We have guesses that go from 5 seconds to 3 minutes, but I would say the average is from 10 to 30 seconds, is what people are saying.
Okay. And I've never seen anybody get it right, but some of you have actually gotten very, very close. I see Jack says 4 seconds. Somebody said 5 seconds. It's 6 seconds. That's all the time you have to make a first impression on a person who's reviewing resumes. And the reason behind that is it's not that they don't care about your resume that you spent hours trying to make perfect. It's that they have hundreds of resumes to get through. And so the first sort is really rapid. They scan it from top to bottom, left to right, and they're looking to see, do you have the degree that you need? Is there some experience in there that can connect to the job? And so you've got 6 seconds to make an impression. So both the format and the content are very, very important. Now, also understand that 6 seconds is a preliminary sort. So they're sorting through to decide who to call or who to review more closely. The next review, they're going to spend a few minutes looking at your resume, reading everything that's on there, and deciding who they're going to call for an interview. So, 6 seconds isn't all you get, but that's the first chance that you get to make a great first impression. And that's why format and content matter so very much.
All right, so for format, the main sections are going to be your heading, which is at the very top, your education section, and then finally your experience. And under the experience, then you could also include relevant experience as well. You could also say work, things like that. And then under these three sections, we're going to put the other additional optional sections you could have, which are going to be your objective. At this point, not many fields recommend an objective. It kind of depends on the field, your major, the type of job. Finally, then you could have your awards, your honors, your technical skills. You could put languages. Languages are great to have on there to show your bilingual status. We also have special projects and creative inquiry. Research is really important to include on your resume. And then finally, you have certifications and professional affiliations.
And I'm
So
going to pop in
different
and make,
options.
I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
going to pop
you're
in and make
good.
one more comment on objective. A lot of times people will use an objective or a professional summary, and I saw this all the time in the bank. They may feel like they don't have very much to put on their resume, and so they write a long paragraph objective just to take up space so that it doesn't look like their resume is blank. And if you're in that situation, we really want to encourage you to come in and see us because we can help draw out some experiences that maybe you don't even realize that you have that would be great bullet points for a resume. Recruiters and hiring managers know the minute they see a long objective like that, either you're trying to fill up white space or you don't know how to articulate the things in your bullet points. So avoid really long objectives.
Mhm. Alrighty, so for more broad formatting, your font, you want to try to keep it between 14 and 16 font for the header, so the top part, and then 10 to 12 point font for the rest of the body. Keep it to kind of a standard type of font like Times New Roman, Appos, that type of thing, just something that's super easy to read. And then for margins, you want to do, you could do between 0.5 if you have a lot more experience, then you could do smaller, narrow margins. If you have less experience, less to put on the resume, then you could have 1 inch margins all around. For consistency, it is important to have all of your margins all the way around to be the same size. Then for dates, you want to keep them on the right side, same with locations. Also for dates, you want to keep them consistent and whether you are saying the months of the year or the seasons. So pick one or the other and kind of keep that throughout the entire resume. So for experience, you want to have it in, I'm sorry, for reverse chronological order. So you want to have the most important and your most current at top. So you would do most important if it was more of like your relevant experience. You can pull those up, even if that's not your most current experience. So that's a way to do that. However, if you just do work experience, you want to make sure under each section it is still reverse chronological order. And then finally, we want to avoid 6 key things. So we want to avoid columns because applicant tracking systems have a really hard time reading them. They actually read left to right. So columns can confuse it. And then you want to avoid graphics and photos. Again, can confuse the machine. And then repeating verbs, you want to kind of keep it diverse so you're not just you want to keep it interesting for the reader as well. Then we have creative headers. You kind of want to avoid this again because of consistency. You want to keep it very standard, easy to read so that they can really get the most important things, which is your experience, not the creative aspects. And then finally, acronyms and abbreviations. Applicant tracking systems, again, and machine learning have a really hard time knowing what abbreviations are. So humans might know what it means, but when the machine reads it first, it's not really sure what you're getting at. So it's not really conveying the right experience to the employer. And finally, we have periods. Another really random thing, machines just don't understand how to read them. And so in applicant tracking systems, your resume actually goes through the system. It can actually rank your resume lower just because you have periods throughout. And then finally, for formatting, you can again see on the left side here, we have a very standard clean resume. It is really showcasing what you have done, your experience, and your skills. Although the one on the right looks really great, I'm sure it was from Canva. It is very hard to read for their computer. Although it is very visually nice for us, it also has a lot less experience and kind of is not showcasing what you can bring to the employer, which at the end of the day is the point of your resume. This
So, for the applicant tracking system, these are some tips just to go over. And Ava's already stated a lot of these, but you want to focus on relevant keywords. You want to use standard headings. You want to avoid complex formatting, so columns, and you want to tailor your resume. And so, one way that you can use ChatGPT or some other generative artificial intelligence to get your resume tailored for a specific job description, you can optimize bullet points. So, rather than putting your entire resume in, you can just put your bullet points in and the job description in and ask it to optimize it. You can ask ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot to find keywords in a job description and help you pull out keywords based on your experience. And you can use it to tailor specifically to jobs. So here are some example prompts that you could use. Revise my resume to align with the following job description without adding to my experience, and then you paste the job description. The reason I added without adding to my experience is probably all of you have used ChatGPT before and it's exaggerated or it's made things up. And so you want to put some guardrails around the prompts that you're giving it. So you don't want it to add experience to match a job description. So that's why you're going to put that in there. And then using the resume and job description below, showcase 10 relevant skills I should highlight. That can help you draw out skills that employers would be looking for that maybe you hadn't thought of. And again, every single time you do this, you always have to check the output. Is this true? Is this actually relevant? Did I actually do these things? I know it's really tempting to make your resume sound great, but you want to be honest and have integrity because if you let ChatGPT write a resume that sounds great with the job description, but includes experience that you don't actually have, that's one of the fastest ways to guarantee that you won't get the job because the person interviewing you is going to know. And then how can I better quantify or qualify my experiences? So these are just a few prompts that you can use with ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever generative AI system that you're using. So when you're thinking about content, you are going to want to have a very clear header. And right now in a header, all you need is your name, email address, phone number, and your LinkedIn URL. If you don't already have LinkedIn, we strongly recommend that you consider starting a LinkedIn profile. And if you need help with that, we can help you in the Career Center. We're going to talk about it in one of our later webinars as well. And then your objective. We talked about this a little while ago. Objective statements are optional, but they can be really useful when you're handing a resume to a recruiter, like at the career fair, or you're emailing a resume to a contact because you don't want to rely on that contact to communicate who you are and what you are looking for. So, say for example, you're interested in working at Microsoft and you have a friend who graduated and got a job there 2 years ago, and they said, "Hey, Ava, send me your resume and I'll forward it on to this recruiter I know." Well, you don't want that person to have to make a case to the recruiter for you. You want to put your objective. And so your objective would be to obtain a part-time summer internship at Microsoft, or part-time internship at Microsoft the summer of 2025 to hone your leadership skills and demonstrate strengths in um, technical settings. And so that's where an objective can be very, very useful. Or if you're going to the career fair, it's super important to have an objective because you want to be sure you're letting the recruiters there know, are you looking for full-time or part-time work, internship or regular hire because you're about to graduate, and when you're looking for that work. That helps them sort through their resumes and makes it easier for them. And the easier you can make it for the person who's making the hiring decision, the more likely it is that you're going to make it farther through the process. So then your education section. One big thing that we see students often make the mistake of doing is abbreviating Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts. They put BS or BA. Do not do that. Spell it all the way out. Bachelor of Science in Biological Sciences. And then in this case, you only put when you're graduating. You don't put a date range of when you're attending. So May of 2026 or whenever you're graduating. And it's okay if that changes, you can update it on your resume, but you don't put a date range. And then you're going to put Clemson University, Clemson, South Carolina. If you have an emphasis or a minor, or you do speak any languages, you can list those there as well. And then you can see you also can list your GPA on the right, but you always want to be sure if you list a GPA that you include the scale. And we recommend if you want to list your GPA that it be 3.5 or higher. Very few employers require a GPA anymore. Some engineering firms do, grad schools will look for it, but we've dropped from 70% of employers using GPA as a primary screening tool. In the last 5 years, that's dropped down to about 30%. So there's been a massive drop in employers' interest in your GPA and a really big rise in their interest in your core competencies, those 9 things that we showed you at the beginning. And then your experience. So this is where we're going to get a little bit of group participation. So there's a formula to use when you are thinking about writing a really well-written bullet point. And it starts with a distinct power verb, then quantify and or qualify your work, and then the result or the impact. So by distinct power verb, and Ava referenced this earlier, I recommend that, and we recommend based on our research, that you use a different power verb every time. So once you've used the word managed, don't use managed again. You can do coordinated or something like that. So distinct just means different every single time. The tense of your verb at the beginning of your bullet point should match the tense of the date range. So if you are currently employed there, then it would be a present tense verb. If you are no longer employed, it would be a past tense verb. And avoid putting an adverb at the beginning. Every bullet point should start with a verb. And then you want to quantify or qualify. And this is where you tell the employer or you show evidence to the employer of the experience that you have. And then the result, and that result can be for you, the organization, or the client. So let's take a look at this first one. Shadowed Greenville County Head Medical Examiner, Dr. Michael Ward, for 20 weeks. We have a distinct power verb at the beginning, shadowed. We have quantify or qualify, and that's basically just who or what did you shadow? Well, they shadowed the Greenville County Head Medical Examiner, Dr. Michael Ward. And then we also have a quantifier for 20 weeks. That's super helpful. So what's missing here is the result in this bullet point. However, if you look in the next bullet point, there is a result. So they observed autopsies, initiated brain removal and dissection, learned about microscopy, and worked on critical thinking skills while studying criminal cases. That's the result for the student. Often, when you are first learning to write a resume, or when you're first starting out in your career, or when you're interning, mostly the results are going to be for you. You're not going to have a huge impact on a company typically initially. So it's okay to write the result for you, but you want to use, again, those core competencies and the language there to write that. All right. So this is an example of a resume that was brought into us. And there's a reminder here of power verb plus quantify and or qualify plus the result. So let's take this very first bullet point, design experiments and study protocols. Can somebody type in, or several of you, go ahead and answer in the chat, what do they have in this bullet point and what's missing? So you can just list power verb is there, quantify, qualify isn't, or result isn't. So take a few minutes in the chat to just tell us what's there and what's missing.
So it looks like a few are coming in. Tyler said they have a power verb, but not qualifier, or the result. Another person said the result is missing. Yes, pretty much the result, but they do have a good strong verb.
Yeah. So one of the ways that you could think about modifying this is you could talk about what kind of experiments or how many experiments and study protocols. So there is a little bit of a qualifier. They designed experiments and study protocols, but we don't know enough information there. And so if they said design chemistry experience, I have no idea what they're designing in there, but designed chemistry experience and study protocols of XYZ 3 different times, resulting in conclusive evidence of XYZ. Then you would have a fully well-written bullet point. And so you can see where that's great that they designed experience and study protocols, but that really doesn't tell me what they're going to bring to the work world where I'm looking to hire somebody. So great job on those answers, you guys. You hit it right on the head. So if we look down at the next section, undergraduate summer research led 33 undergraduate honor students in a 5-week science and engineering research program. Is there anything missing in that one? And this one, no result. I see
Yes.
that, Tyler. Yeah, thank you. Yep, we're missing a result again. And so, what you might think about including in this one, so if you led 33 undergraduate honor students in a 5-week science and engineering research program, one of the reasons that Clemson does something like that is, they want to, well, this is undergraduate research. So, they want you to be mentored by folks that are older than you. They want you to gain learning. They want you to feel included at Clemson University. And so you could say reinforcing the science and engineering technical processes and helping engage undergraduate students. So there are ways that you can talk about results that would be focused on what the institution is looking for. All right, Ava, back to you. And I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Finally, we have the honors, awards, and activities section. So for honors and award, you could have it from professional organizations. You can have it from scholarships, clubs, leadership positions, fraternities and sororities, and then certifications and licenses. So all of these things are really great to have on there, and especially if they're relevant to the position. This is another one of those things where it's the optional content. So kind of um, what's it called? Changing your resume to kind of cater to each job and each type of position, just depending on the relevant experience. Especially if you have a lot of experience, like Maggie said, you might not have as much space. So, kind of making sure you're curating all of these type optional sections on your resume for each type of position is crucial. And then finally, we have a new CCPD program, which is the CIL Career Innovation Lab. At the Career Innovation Lab, this is actually what we work for, and Maggie is the co or founder of. And there we optimize your resume and your cover letters with ChatGPT. We really help you teach you or how to use AI, help you any way you can kind of explore. We also use life design thinking to kind of get you unstuck. So this is a really great new program. I would really recommend. We're going to be reopened on Wednesdays. August 27th is our first day back. That's our second Wednesday of the school year. So we're going to be at the library. Do you have anything more?
No, so our hours, we'll be announcing those soon, and the location it should be the library, but we'll be announcing that soon too. Um, and then we have multiple locations across campus. We do drop-ins for students at the library and also on Thursdays at the C-suite in the College of Business. And any student is welcome. You don't have to be a business student to come to that. And then we have moved from the Hendricks Student Center to the Neary Family Alumni and Visitors Center, which is over by the golf course in the Madron Center. There will be shuttle buses that come. You can ride your scooter, you can ride your bike, you can drive over there and park as soon as we confirm that we will have student parking. I'm pretty sure there will be a few spaces, but it's a beautiful facility. We really hope you will come and visit us there. And then, Ava, I'm going to let you share about career counseling hours.
Yes. So again, we do have our career counseling hours. We have our drop-ins at the Cooper Library on Monday and Thursday, 2 to 4. We're also going to have this during the school year, hopefully Monday through Friday. But it's just a one-stop shop to come like for 10 to 15 minutes with a quick question about your resume, your cover letter. We're really able to point out and kind of get to show you where to go next. And then your appointments is 30 to 60 minutes. That's again probably going to be multiple topics, a little bit longer, a little bit more help from us. But we do cover many of the same topics, except for some of the bigger ones. So, like your major change, or maybe like a personal statement. And we have those Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 10 to 2 p.m. in those half-hour increments. And then Monday and Wednesday, 1:30 to 2:30 p.m.
And those are our summer hours. In the fall, we have both drop-ins and appointments available 5 days a week. Drop-ins are in the afternoon and appointments are morning and afternoon. And those can be in person or virtual. So if you're not able to come to the Neary Alumni Center, you can do it virtually as well. And then if you didn't have a chance, if you joined us late and you want to make sure that you get a copy of the materials that we've covered here and the presentation, you can scan the QR code to register your participation. Please make sure you use your Clemson email address. And then we just want to pause and say, does anybody have any questions? And thank you again for joining us today.
Hi,
And you're,
yes. I
oh,
just have a quick question.
yeah.
I know we mentioned about just the things to add on your resume, but I was wondering, do you guys have any templates that you could possibly send over? Because I know for sure I have trouble templating my resume.
Yeah, so we recommend avoiding templates because there can sometimes be some coding in there that will mess up an applicant tracking system. But we do have an example we can send you. And so typically you just open just a basic Word document and follow the format that you see on the page. But I also understand, Isabel, sometimes it can be hard to match what you're seeing on the page. And so if you're having trouble with that, you are really welcome to make an appointment with us or stop by and see us, and we will help you with that. We'll show you how to do it. But we will definitely include the resume packet in the Canvas module if you're enrolled in Canvas for the Professional Development Certificate Program. But also, if you've given us your email address, you will get a copy of that resume packet that has a copy of our recommended resume in it. Thanks for your question.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? Emma, do we have anything in the chat?
Asked how often should I get my resume reviewed?
Okay, that's a great question. So getting your resume reviewed, I recommend each time that you've had a significant experience added. So, say you've come, and we recommend people come your freshman year, even if you don't have much on your resume, come your freshman year so that we can start showing you how to format it and the kinds of things that you want to put on it. After that, each time that you have a job or an experience, come see us. We want to add that job or experience. And that could be maybe you were in a class and you took the lead on a major project. That's something that's worth putting on your resume if you've got room. Okay. Any other questions, Emma?
Yes, we had another question, and they asked, I was just working on my CV, and you guys mentioned that for resumes, simpler is better for tracking. But my CV is very graphic because I'm an art major and I'm designing it such for grad school so it stands out. Is this a more unique situation, or should I say both?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. So, a CV or curriculum vitae is used typically in academic settings where you have research or major project experience. And other than the heading, basically nothing that we said today applies to a CV. You actually want it to be as long as possible, as detailed as possible. You can write narrative, you can have bullet points. It's really free form. So, if you are applying to grad schools and they give you the option of submitting a CV or a resume, in your case, I would submit the CV because you're going to be able to have more experience listed on there. If you're applying to a school and they say submit a resume, you're going to want to stick with just a resume. And if you want to make an appointment with us, we can show you how to convert your CV to a resume if you need help. Any other questions? These are great questions, by the way. Thank you all so much. Any other questions, Emma?
Not right now, no.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap up. We're so grateful that you were here. Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Emma. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we hope that you'll be back next week. That's all we've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought that went pretty well.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Tyler asked, I'm expected to graduate in 2.5 years, so December 2026. So should I include the date I started Clemson to show that to employers or leave it off?
Oh, to show them that you're graduating so quickly. Is that what you're asking,
I
Tyler?
think so, yes. I think like if you're graduating early, does that make a difference?
Okay. Um, I mean, it shows academic rigor on your part, but I'm not sure that it really matters to an employer as they're screening quickly. Typically, you would want to just list when you're graduating. And then that actually would be great to point out in your cover letter. Because then that could show your discipline, your academic rigor. And so when you're writing a cover letter, you can say, as a Clemson student, I graduated in 2.5 years, and then talk about how you did that. That would actually be really appealing to an employer in a cover letter. Okay. You're welcome, Tyler. Thanks for asking. All right. I think that wraps us up unless anybody else has any questions. All right. Thanks, everybody.